This is David Pataki, Coach David from your FS Matrix. We are on the Build with a Plan podcast. Today, I have my guest is Bruce McGillery from Instant Imprints. Welcome, Bruce.
Well, thank you, David, for having me on. I appreciate it.
Well, certainly, yes. I've been getting to know Bruce a little bit over the last 8 or 10 months. Actually, no, I shouldn't say that. I've known you for now probably 3 years. Off and on, and great connector, great, professional person, always someone that is looking out to help people. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to ask you on our podcast today. So how's your day going?
It's going great. Feel hard to believe we're almost near the end of the year. Just seems like we just started 2024 just a few weeks ago.
Oh, certainly. Well, time flies when you're having fun, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to ask you a few questions here. So I was just wondering, just tell me a little bit about yourself, your family, hobbies, that type of stuff.
So grew up in Barrie, so born in Barrie. I remember it when it was a smaller city, about the same size as Arroy at one point. So here from Barrie, went to Barrie Central, which was the high school here in town. And also a graduate of Georgian College. So kind of involved with a lot of the institutions here internally. My father was an entrepreneur. He had a business on Dunlop Street. He was a chiropractor as well as hearing aids and that. So he operated for a number of years. So I got to see from early age entrepreneurial activity in place as we were growing up, and I think maybe had some impact into my choices later in life with regards to working. I live in here in Barrie with my wife Rebecca. We've been married for 20 years. We have two beagles that keep us pretty busy right now. One of them, Cap, is our unofficial greeter at the store. So when he does get to come into the store, he likes to meet the people as they come in. So he's sometimes more popular at the business than I am. And I guess
Uh,
for my hobbies, probably the biggest thing I am is I'm a avid comic book collector and reader. So I enjoy comic books. I've been collecting them since I guess the 80s and that. So being able to see how they've grown and become a big part of our culture with the movies and everything that Marvel has spun off of. So that's pretty exciting to see the evolution that's happened in that area.
Yeah, certainly. I did, as most kids do, did read comics back in the day, but never had the forethought to keep any. So, do you have any comics that are special or ones that stand out?
Uh, where I guess where it might be a challenge with my wife is I keep a lot, so I'm probably right now count close to about 10,000 that I've got. So a number of them I enjoy. I wasn't one that was kind of like more of the off quirky kind of ones that weren't the main, your Batman, Superman, Wolverine, Spider-Man ones early on. So I like to kind of go off on the strange stay out tales. I was a big collector of Thor and Green Lantern early on. Probably really found some of the ones have been the series they have, such as there's some movies that have been come out on the Infinite Crisis and Secret Wars, Civil Wars, those type of things that spawn movies. Those are ones I really enjoyed. And actually, currently, they've kind of done a relaunch of Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, kind of retelling their story from a different angle. That's really interesting and kind of exciting to see how they're taking an alternative take on those iconic characters that have been around since the 30s.
Awesome. Yeah, I didn't know that about you, and thank you for sharing. 10,000, that's quite the collection. Uh,
Taking up a fair bit of space in the basement, so I'm not sure my wife's too happy with it. But when I tell her, they're worth some money, that it's a form of our retirement planning, it gets me by.
exactly. All right. So can you tell me what you were doing before you started your business?
So before I started, I kind of started in a different avenue. So I guess at the end of my career was in sales, but initially I started off working in operations for a furniture retailer here in town. Kind of starting off doing the back end, customer service, the ordering and inventory, scheduling deliveries. So that was my initial start. I was doing that for about 13 years and always thought I would never want to be a salesperson or go into that career. I thought it was just not right for me or didn't suit my personality. I always had that envisioning of the extrovert, outgoing person who did sales, and myself, naturally more of an introvert, so I didn't think that would ever be a career path I went. But that kind of changed. Kind of moved into inside sales for a U.S. company for doing activity for them for a little bit, which then led to a little bit more in sales. And then recently, I worked for Moneris, which was a payment processor owned by RBC and Bevo. So I was a regional sales rep for them. So I was based here in Barrie and kind of covered from Newmarket to Kincard and Lindsay and up to Thunder Bay and the Manitoba border. So I did that for 13 years, a fair bit of traveling. It was great to see a lot of the area and the countryside and all that. Some seasons were a little bit nicer for traveling than others in those areas. The winters were not always the best times to be doing it, but it was enjoyable. And I started doing that, and that was kind of where I got into more of structured sales and had some success with it, and got more into from the business to consumer involvement to full time business to business.
Wow, it's good to know. You have spent some time working for other businesses that have built up a pretty good skill set to help you in the business side of things.
It's exciting, as I said. A lot of these organizations, like Moneris, being from a financial institution, they have a lot of structure and different solutions that they use that brings in, so it keeps you current. But also working prior to that with some smaller businesses and that, you kind of got to see both sides of the equation, and always walking away with something new, coming away with some new information, new way of doing something, or picking up some knowledge that I could use for my next opportunities or what came down the road in the future.
100%. You know, it's always interesting to find out what people did before they got into the current business that they're in. As we could see, you weren't exactly in the promotional business. So how and why did you start your business, and why was it promotional items?
So when I started off back in about, I guess earlier on, but it was something over a number of years. I was always wanting to be in business for myself, looking for that right opportunity, the right time for that to happen. And then around 2018, things started to shape up to be the opportunity. I think that take that plunge in there. My wife Rebecca was supportive, and how with how her career was set up, it was very stable on her end. So we thought this was be the great opportunity. So we were looking for areas that would match up to my skill sets. Promotional products, embroidery, that was not one of the ones off the top of the head that I was looking at, but ended up talking to someone, and Imprints is a franchise. So we started looking at that business model that they had, their opportunity for growth within the business, and a lot of the similarities there tied into a lot of soft skills I had. So, dealing in the payment processing with other businesses, networking, finding up, communicating with those people would be the same type of clients I'd be talking to now. So instead of payment processing, it would be, branding opportunities, promotional products, that type of stuff that we're looking at. So I could see a transition over. And looking at a franchise model, I was looking at, they were going to be able to provide me with the knowledge on the technical side where I'd be not as strong, to help me kind of ramp up on that aspect.
All right, so a lot of thought and obviously a supportive spouse involved in this, which is always helpful. So
It,
promotional, so what were the first year or two like for you?
it started off well. We were doing well. We opened in May of 2019. Unfortunately, global situations changed. So early 2020 was when COVID and the pandemic came. So that kind of really threw us for a loop. So having a business plan and strategy as to how we wanted to approach the first couple years and what our strategy was kind of got thrown out the window. Like many people, you had to learn how to pivot, find opportunities to work. I think a lot of it came into success in the first couple of years was social capital built up, being involved in the community, working with other businesses and that. And as challenges came in, people were supportive. I think a lot of small business owners and that are always supportive of other people to try and help them be successful. So a bit more of a roller coaster in those early years than what we were hoping for. As I say, we're trying to get a footing together, what we're looking at. So it was a bit more of a challenge. I say, probably when you're near three and a half, four, that felt more like what we expected our second year to be like. So that time in there was I would not want to go through it again. It was challenging, but on the other side, there's a lot of opportunities of learning, a lot of things that you came away from experiences that we can implement. Also, kind of being, seeing yourself how you can handle things, take on new opportunities, challenges. That kind of gave me I think, a compass on on myself and how we approached businesses, and we came out on the other end and are now starting to see that growth that we were looking at early on. Now we're starting to see that come into play as to how we project it.
Hmm. Yeah, you said something interesting in there that I don't hear a lot of people talk about, but you actually had a written plan down. You had a business plan to move forward, which is fantastic, and it's something that I always encourage when I'm working with my clients. And then unfortunately, the what happened in 2020 and 2021 was unexpected from any perspective. So to be able to succeed and get through that with just being in business for a year is great, and obviously tenacious planning and the fortitude to keep moving forward. So good on you. And I know that this past June, I believe it was, you celebrated your fifth year anniversary. So congratulations on that, Bruce.
Thank you. It's nice to see that milestone come into play. So it was pretty exciting.
Absolutely. And through your 5 years, I know you had some struggles in 2020 and that with what was going on in the world. What would be one of your success stories that you'd like to share with our folks on online here?
The success story that I was really working at is, I guess, that community involvement, building connections within the community. So back in 2002, I was involved with the Dragon Boat Festival here in town. So when we moved into this opportunity in this business where we could provide, branded items for teams and that, we were able to work with the festival on trying to find opportunities to work from the festival itself and other teams, and we became a little bit more entwined where we were donating proceeds back to the library from it. So I think that was a great opportunity because it also opened up avenues for clients that we might not have worked with. So we have someone supporting a team to raise money for a charity of the choice. We help them with their team, where that then individual, maybe the captain, could see opportunities for us to work with them on a business level. So we were able to show the work we did, our commitment to the community, and now we became known to them. So when their business was looking for items, they would come to us and say, "Could we provide, some help on a trade show activities we're doing, or we're looking to do new uniforms for our staff." So we've been able to grow some really great clients from that, to where it started on a festival supporting the community to a business relationship. And some of those clients are definitely would be what we would classify as top 10 clients that we work with on a regular basis.
Fantastic. So obviously you were able to look after and satisfy all the needs of this Dragon Boat Festival, and because of your customer service and the product quality of your product, um, but also the relationship part where a lot of the people that we talk to is it has to do with the relationships and how they deal with each of their clients. So clearly you have a process that really helps the client get what they want. I've worked with you in the past, and you sit down and you just don't give them the first solution. You look at what they want to do, what their end goal is, and you work with them to figure out which is the right product to move forward with, so that they're just not wasting money, that they're actually getting quality products that actually fit what they're looking for. So that clearly has turned into other business after that. So good on you, Bruce.
Well, thank you. It's an avenue we take as a number of businesses. There's large online presences that are in different sectors, so we want to be able to provide that service. That would be different than if you go online and pick something and they'll provide it to you, but maybe that's not the right solution that you need. Whereas we're a little bit more consultative, talking with them to ensure that that hard-earned money they're putting out is something that's going to use and not sit in the storage room in a closet, not being utilized.
Right. So you have a showroom in town, correct?
Yes, we do.
So someone can go in there, and when they go in there, what type of experience would they get?
So in our showroom, we have a nice selection of different items that we can show. So from some promotional products items, primarily it's more on the apparel side because we find there's a number of individuals that are tactile. They like to be able to touch and feel the garments looking for. So if they're looking for, a golf shirt or a t-shirt or a hoodie or a jacket, they like to come in and see and feel and make sure it's the right choice for them. If it's something where they're unsure on sizing, we can bring in items for them to be able to try on for sizing before we decorate it, so that it's not something where you think it's a size, you find out that the garment might be sized a little bit differently, and then you get it and it's either too big, too small, whatever the case may be. So we bring it in on that line, then we kind of work with the individual, going through what are their needs and requirements, what are they looking to use these items for, how are they looking at decorating it. One of the big things is their logos that they're putting onto it. Uh, is it a quality that, is the image itself going to be a good enough quality for it? And then how are they looking at trying to utilize that image? If they say, they might come in and say, I want something embroidered onto my shirt, but looking at their image, it might not translate well into needles and threads from a sewing point of view. Because if you've got a lot of fine detail, you've got a needle and thread that's can only get to so small, or maybe you have grading colors that won't be able to work. So offering an alternatives that might keep the integrity of the design they have, or recommend maybe modifying the design to make it more suited for embroidering, so you get that kind of look that you want.
So what I'm hearing is that you're able to make sure that your customers generally are better, more satisfied with their product than if they were to order online, because you don't really know what you're getting when you're ordering online, whether it's the size or even the logo. For example, if you send it in, you don't have that one-on-one conversation to say, well, you know what, your logo's not quite, it's not going to quite translate properly. We should do this and that, and that way they would be more satisfied with the final product versus online. Do you also do a lot of your product in store?
We do. So we have embroidery machines here in store that we do decoration on, as well as heat transfer, direct to film, different stuff like that for apparel. On the signage side, we have a large format printer, so we do, window decorations, uh, signage for A-frames, different things along that line that we do in-house. So we do a number of that. The only thing typically done outside is the promotional products, such as pens and that, which are usually done at the suppliers' facilities, so they have the equipment to be able to do them on a better economy of scale than what we would be able to do on an internal basis.
But with a lot of the products being done in-house, the quality control is there, I would imagine.
It is, so we can see it. So before we do an embroidery, we do what we call a sample sew out. So we'll stitch out what the logo will look like with the colors and that, and then send either a picture to the client or have them come in to look at, say, is this what you were envisioning? Are these the colors that you want to have? Sometimes people will have their logo and they won't think about, they have a dark logo that has black in it. Maybe they're putting on a navy garment, and those colors will be much more subtle. So, questioning, is this what you were looking for, your intent? Or did you want to change something so it's a little bit more stands out a bit more? So I think that's one thing that we're really proud of. We have done, there was a client of ours that had some revisions on their design that we would go back and forth with to kind of get what they look like before, went on to their onto the jackets. Again, if they get something that there doesn't look the best and they're not wearing it, they're not going to be happy with it. And we want to ensure that the clients are happy with their decision, because then they'll tell other people, of their experiences with us. Hopefully, go on to Google and other ones, post positive reviews as well. So other people can see all the work that we do and can help us grow our business.
Right. And, thinking about online and, the few times I've ordered certain things online, not specifically promotional items, but you don't always get what you want. And then when you don't get what you want, it's so much more difficult to deal with someone online to get any returns or refunds, that type of stuff. So obviously being able to make sure that they're happy in the beginning as you do, the returns and unhappy clients are far fewer. So and that's what separates you from a lot of the other promotional item people out there. And again, that's one of the reasons why I've connected with you, because that you take the personal touch. You've got the showroom, you've got the on-site production for most of what you do. So that's fantastic. So Bruce, what are you working on right now that maybe hasn't got to the level that you were hoping it would be?
So one of the services that we provide that we can see there's a lot of opportunity that would grow for us. We do provide, we will set up what we call pop-up stores or corporate stores for teams or organizations, so that they can set up portals for their either their team members, their supporters of their team, if they're doing fundraising, for example, or employees and staff to be able to go in and order their items. So as an example, if you had a team that was participating in the Dragon Boat, we would have it set up that they can go in, they could select the shirts they wanted with their team logo on it, place the order online, and then we would be able to notify and be able to fulfill it. And if you take it to the next level, say you have a team that soccer team, and you want to get us, for the parents and people to support, you might put on their different items that they can go ahead and purchase. So that way it's taking away from the team themselves having to track, all right, who's purchased what size do they need, do they pay us, do they not pay us, collect all the money, go in and purchase. This way it's all done online, so the individual can go in and say, I want to get a hoodie and a hat. I need this as a sizes, this is a color. They place the order, all the payments done. So we look after everything from being that notification to fulfillment. And then at the end, we would, say, right, you had so many people purchase items from me. Here's the money back, and then facilitate that way to kind of take a lot of the work away from the individuals. Or if it's a company, maybe from the HR, the sales managers, who that's not really, their focus. They don't want to be managing those things. They know they need to do it, but they've got other things that they want to focus on. So that's an area where we see that we can definitely grow more and try and get more people to be aware of it, because I think it really would help them out on saving them time and making it a more pleasurable experience on their end.
It sounds like a very, very good service that you offer. So what seems to be the challenge? Just getting the word out, or what?
I think getting the word out to people for awareness. As I said, being part of a franchise, we've seen other locations and jurisdictions in the U.S. A number of our stores there. It's really big for spirit wear for schools and teams. That's a big area. So those have really grown well. And I think for us, it's just getting the word out that this is an option that you can take advantage of. And sometimes it's, making sure people are aware of, maybe you've always done it this way, where the team captain, has a sheet they print out, they give it to everyone fills it in, and then they go around collecting it, and they're not aware there's another way of doing it. So that communication, that showing of the new opportunity there, that this is available to them, and it's something where we'll design it up and implement it in. So cost wise, there's no cost on it for the individual's point of view. So there is some benefits there, and I think we just need to work a little bit better on communicating that service to our clients in the community.
Well, for sure. And that would be, my suggestion here is that that you're taking the stress and that pain away the pain point, if you will, away from, whether it's HR, whether it's the team captain. And I would also imagine that it probably, especially when it comes to HR, or when you're buying garments for your staff, that there'd be some waste savings there, because typically, if you're going to buy for a company and you want to do the staff, you're going to go, okay, well, I need, you know 10 small, we're going to need 4 medium, we're going to need 25 large, 5 extra large, and 3 double XL. Then inevitably at the end of the day, people, they might have too many smalls that don't really fit. We're this way that, people are ordering the size that they want. Plus, it's taking the time away from it's freeing up the time for the HR person or the sales manager, whoever is actually looking after the getting the sizing, and then there's less waste for sure. So it would actually, if I'm not mistaken, it should be more of a cost savings versus and time savings. So it would be something that should be looked at, especially in that environment.
Exactly. There's been times where we've had someone sorted for their staff and that, and then like, we'd get a call a couple days later where it's like all of a sudden they remember, oh, we forgot so and so, or they changed their size. So it does make it a lot easier because I just said once the items are decorated and that, unfortunately, there's no way to undo it very easily. So you want to make sure you're getting the right stuff early on as opposed to at the end of the process.
Yeah, so I think, like, you're on the right track for sure. I think it's just positioning it and just getting the word out that it is a cost savings, it is a time saver for sure. Some people might think, well, maybe it's more trouble than it is, but from what it sounds like, you have a system set up there to A, as the cost savings, and B, in the time savings. So it really should be a no-brainer for most people out there.
Well, we're looking at it, as I said, once people have utilized it, they find out the value and benefits of it. So it's just, as I said, us getting that word out and people to kind of to see it and that. So we're that's kind of our area that we want to work on, kind of doing better at.
Well, for sure. Well, clearly, 5 years in, you can continue to be building your business. I have no doubt that you're going to be able to make this work with the persistence that you've shown over, especially over the COVID years and so on. So I have full confidence in you, Bruce, that you're going to be able to get through that. And on that line, where would you see the business in 5 years?
Where I like to see the business in 5 years is where I can kind of take a little bit more of a step back from some of the day-to-day operations, have a little bit more staffing here, that we've grown to the point where we can hire more people, have more people working within the company, so I can focus a little bit more, say, on the community activities that I want to see, that I'm passionate about being involved with. So that's where one of the areas that I would like to be able to see in turn that would free up a little bit more time to spend with family and do things. As many people know, when they're starting a business, the early years is a lot of time that you put into getting that business up and running. And we'd like to now and get to that point now where I can see some, cut back on those hours and have the business operate a little bit more without being as hands-on involved.
Right, and that's a great goal, and that's what I typically talk about when I'm working with clients on my own, is to, where do you see yourself in 5 or 10 years? And if it's stepping back, which is, again, a lot of reasons why people start a business, because they want to grow to a point where they can step back a little bit and still continue to earn revenue. So obviously, you've got that goal. So now you just got to look at, okay, how do you reverse engineer that? What are your sales targets that you need to hit year over year? And since you are someone that, is good with putting down written plans, that's what I certainly recommend, is go to that 5 years, see what sales goals that you would need, or sales targets you need to hit, and then reverse engineer it back to now and see what milestones you need to hit as you're moving forward. Clearly, if you're going to look at hiring more staff, then clearly you need to be at a certain revenue level or a profit level, so that you can be able to bring on somebody without hurting the business or your own personal income. So yeah, but that's my suggestion, and I think that with your, again, your planning, I think that you will have no problem getting there. And I wish you the best, Bruce. Is there anything else you'd like the folks out there to know about Instant Imprints?
Just that, as I said, we're very committed to the community and working with the Barrie area. One of the things that some people might not be aware of, but as I said, being we do service outside that, so we do have clients in Sudbury, Owen Sound, and different areas. So if it's someone that wants to work with us but might not be geographically in place, we are more than happy to find ways to work with them and try and provide that level of service that we offer locally to those individuals that might be a little bit further away.
All right. Well, and that's something I didn't know, that you're able to go beyond just Barrie. Obviously, being a physical, showroom, and that, proximity makes it a little bit better, but you've got a further reach. So that's fantastic. And that's great to know. All right, Bruce, I appreciate your time, and look forward to continuing to build our relationship. And until next time, it's Coach David out.